Everyone is wondering if Lil Scrappy just crossed the line or if this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Imagine the tension of years of emotional struggles suddenly erupting in one moment of unbridled wrath. Lil Scrappy and Rasheeda, two of the most well-known faces in reality TV, are notorious for their on-again, off-again turmoil, but they have always kept things messy. How did we arrive here? This video delves deeply into every shocking detail and scandalous whispers surrounding this jaw-dropping event. The explosive video footage has already gone viral. But what's the real story behind it? Stay tuned because we've got the inside scoop that no one else is talking about. Some claim that the outburst was caused by the pressure of constant public scrutiny, while others whisper about deeper secrets that have finally come to light. Was it an affair, financial betrayal, or perhaps something much darker? Is the public persona of Rasheeda and Lil Scrappy about to collapse? Let's see how it all began with what appeared to be a friendly get-together and another attempt by Rasheeda and Lil Scrappy to mend fences. However, nobody could have foreseen the disastrous turn things would take, and the notorious slap that has everyone in a frenzy was anything but an accident. The altercation's true cause is even more astounding than you could have ever imagined. For years, Lil Scrappy and Rasheeda have been at the center of reality TV drama. Each with their own, they have been a constant source of amusement for both fans and enemies due to their share of scandals, secrets, and public mishaps. From Scrappy's tumultuous relationship with Bambi to Rasheeda's difficulties running her business empire. However, this incident could be the one that makes everything change. The heated argument that resulted in this shocking display of aggression wasn't a spontaneous outburst. Rather, it had been building for a while. According to sources close to the couple, Rasheeda, while attempting to maintain her family image, had been concealing something so significant that even Lil Scrappy, who is frequently the mediator, lost his composure. Was it infidelity, financial difficulties, or the most intimate type of betrayal? Let's go back a little. For years, there had been rumors about Rasheeda's dubious business practices, in addition to her ongoing power struggle with Scrappy and her family. This wasn't just any fight, though. It was years of frustration, dishonesty, and growing tension that finally erupted. And Lil Scrappy the man was the target. The question is, how much of it is real? How much is an act for the cameras? And more importantly, how deep does this go? We've seen Rasheeda cry on screen, and we've heard her say that she is fighting for her family's future. But does she truly have their best interests at heart? Or is there a darker side to her story that has been kept under wraps? Let's not forget the history between Rasheeda and Scrappy over the years. There have been many significant ups and downs in the relationship. A combination of turbulence, including Scrappy's tumultuous history, relationships with other women, and financial difficulties, has put Rasheeda under scrutiny. As we delve deeper into the story, we'll break down exactly what led to this slap, starting with the most stunning aspect of this entire drama. Scrappy's slap wasn't just about fury in the moment. It was about years of pent-up rage, a boiling pot of secrets and lies eventually erupting. The one secret that Rasheeda keeps: Scrappy didn't just slap her for nothing, though. According to several inside the circle, it was a reaction to something much more sinister, a betrayal of monumental proportions. What could it be? It all began months ago when Rasheeda's company, Frost Bistro, began to experience financial difficulties. Scrappy, who has always been there to support his family, started to inquire as to what was happening with the money. What is causing Rasheeda's business to fail? Scrappy's worries quickly escalated into annoyance, which in turn sparked a full-fledged suspicion. Was Rasheeda concealing something from him? Or was she involved in something much more serious than a few poor business choices? This is where things get crazy. According to Scrappy's sources, Rasheeda had been surreptitiously taking money out of Frost Bistro's account, not just a small amount, but a substantial enough sum to raise suspicions and prompt an investigation into the company's financial situation. However, Rasheeda wasn't the only one. Involvement. Based on information from insiders, the problem swiftly worsened after Rasheeda's close colleagues handled certain dubious transactions involving the transfer of funds without the required paperwork. When Scrappy learned that Rasheeda had been deceiving him about her financial status for months in addition to engaging in these dubious activities, his aggravation escalated to rage. Rasheeda had consistently presented herself as the powerful, self-reliant businesswoman who ruled her empire, but what Scrappy discovered revealed a far more sinister picture. Imaged as drama developed behind closed doors, and Scrappy wasn't having any of it. It wasn't simply a financial error, it was a betrayal of trust. Rasheeda's normally composed and calm demeanor began to crumble under the strain, and he started to distance himself from her after feeling deceived and humiliated. The tension between them became intolerable, and their once friendly interactions turned into battle cries. There was no turning back. And that's when the argument broke out. It wasn't just about money. It was about control, power, and who had the upper hand in the relationship. And Scrappy, who had been keeping his suspicions to himself, finally had enough. It happened during a private family gathering when the argument took a deadly turn. In an attempt to defend herself, Rasheeda dismissed the accusations and denied everything, but Scrappy wasn't buying it anymore. And that's when it happened, the slap an act that would rock the foundation of their entire relationship. But what caused this explosive moment? Stay tuned because things are about to get even more intense. Not only was it the result of a single argument, but it was the culmination of everything that had been simmering behind the scenes for months. As the news spread like wildfire, it sent shockwaves through the celebrity world, leaving fans stunned and some even taking sides. However, what actually transpired behind closed doors was, who was truly at fault here? The aftermath of the slap was nothing short of disastrous, and Scrappy's fans were already doubting Rasheeda's true intentions, and this incident only added fuel to the fire. The depth of that smack is much greater than what the cameras capture. Rasheeda's business issues weren't the only thing that transpired during that heated moment. Despite his tenacity, the protector had witnessed too many deceptions and manipulations over the years to simply stand by and watch as his pride, loyalty, and love for his family were all on the line. His constant companion Rasheeda has been keeping secrets from him, and not just any secrets. We're talking about something much more sinister than a few dubious monetary actions. It all began when Scrappy noticed that Rasheeda was treating him differently. According to sources close to Scrappy, Rasheeda had been ignoring him, avoiding his questions, and dismissing his concerns about the company's dubious financial dealings. He wasn't the only one who noticed that Bambi's wife had grown more suspicious of Rasheeda's behavior, but she kept her mouth shut until she was unable to continue. Observed Rasheeda's covert attempts to separate Scrappy from the rest of the family. Rasheeda was attempting to manipulate the story by fabricating stories to maintain her reputation while covertly putting her husband under the bus. This sense of betrayal was what ultimately drove Scrappy to his breaking point. The day of the slap wasn't just any fight. Rather, it was a prearranged act of retaliation. The argument started out innocently enough, but when Rasheeda attempted to minimize the accusations, no one was safe from Scrappy's rage, not even the woman he once referred to as his business partner, the woman who had served as the face of his family's empire. But that wasn't the only shocking revelation to come out of the backstage slap. Scrappy's years of frustration finally reached a breaking point, and he was unable to contain his rage any longer. Reports have arisen claiming that Rasheeda had engaged in some extremely dubious actions in both her personal and commercial life, with her secret existence gradually coming to light through anonymous sources. According to these leaked reports, Rasheeda had been meeting in secret with dubious investors and was involved in a money laundering scheme that used Frost Bistro as a front. Millions of dollars were allegedly transferred through the company, and Rasheeda allegedly used her business connections to hide the disparities. However, it wasn't just about money. It was also about power. Rasheeda was building an empire, but she wasn't doing it alone. Behind the scenes, Rasheeda had been manipulating Scrappy to keep him in the dark while she made all of the important choices. Scrappy, on the other hand, wasn't exactly informed about the true nature of the company, or the agreements Rasheeda was making with partners and investors that nobody else knew about. Her efforts to conceal her activities were nothing short of brilliant, But once they weren't, the web of lies she had created came undone more quickly than she could have ever imagined. When Scrappy finally realized what was happening, he resolved to confront her. As anticipated, the slap quickly turned into a media frenzy, and the public was split. Some people backed Scrappy. The more you look into the matter, the more obvious it becomes that wasn't just about a slap. It was about control, power, and years of manipulation coming to a head. Fans weren't just discussing the slap. They were also wondering if Rasheeda was the businesswoman she claimed to be. He claimed that he had every right to defend himself and call out Rasheeda for the lies she had been telling others. But he took Rasheeda's side, arguing that Scrappy should have handled things differently, and that his public outburst was unnecessary and that it painted their family negatively. After the incident, Bambi, Scrappy's wife, publicly supported him and claimed that Rasheeda had been a negative influence on their relationship for years, manipulating Scrappy and trying to push him away from his family. In a series of shocking Instagram posts, Bambi even hinted that Rasheeda had been trying to sabotage Scrappy's relationship with his own daughter, which shocked the fan base. She's a manipulative, power-hungry person who had been hiding the truth for far too long. Muted strategy, she remained silent, allowing the media to speculate on her behalf and avoiding direct comments on the matter. But if you look at her social media activity, you can see that she's not as innocent as she's trying to come across. In fact, some fans think that Rasheeda's silence is a calculated tactic to maintain her reputation while subtly influencing the media to portray Scrappy as the antagonist. But let's not forget about the retaliation Scrappy took after the slap. And despite Rasheeda's best efforts to appear calm, Scrappy wasn't backing down behind the scenes. Close relatives say in order to determine the true scope of Rasheeda's alleged misconduct, Scrappy started to take over Frost Bistro's financial operations and hired a group of forensic accountants to examine each and every transaction. The investigation was completed in a matter of weeks. According to reports, Scrappy had found substantial evidence linking Rasheeda to fraudulent operations, but instead of reporting the material to the authorities, Scrappy decided to use it as leverage to not only defend himself but also to obtain the upper hand in the ongoing fight for control over their family business, so the stakes were raised. It was no longer just about a slap. It was about gaining control, securing power, and making sure Rasheeda paid for her actions. This wasn't just a small-scale family dispute. It was a struggle for supremacy in the competitive reality TV and celebrity industries. However, what does Scrappy and Rasheeda's future hold? One thing is certain though, this scandal is far from over, and the world is watching. The stage has been set. The drama has unfolded. But what will happen next in this battle between Scrappy and Rasheeda? Will Scrappy defeat Rasheeda once and for all, or will she emerge victorious? The consequences of that slap won't go away. Rather, they will intensify into a full-fledged struggle for control of power and, not to mention, financial gain. If you, after months of enduring Rasheeda's machinations, you may have assumed that was merely a family matter, but now the entire economic empire is on the line. Scrappy isn't just ignoring the situation. It's now about legal retaliation, not familial strife. According to sources close to Scrappy, he has enlisted the help of one of the most influential corporate lawyers in the nation, an expert in fraud cases and corporate takeovers, with the goal of dismantling Rasheeda's entire business, beginning with the dubious business dealings she had been concealing him. But this goes beyond a few dubious contracts. According to reports, Scrappy has discovered offshore accounts connected to Rasheeda's business activities that are all intended to divert funds from the Frost family's empire. These are not little matters that should be ignored. Rather, they are criminal accusations that might have major repercussions. Yeah, but he has a different plan in mind. Instead of immediately making the information public, he is meticulously developing a plan, which his legal staff is allegedly formulating, to file a lawsuit that, if the allegations of financial fraud are confirmed, could bankrupt Rasheeda. The fallout will be disastrous when it becomes public, but in the meantime, Rasheeda is frantically trying to come clean and provide a defense. Rasheeda has been defensive and has refused to have any substantive discussions about the accusations. Her silence has only served to stoke the flames, giving the impression that she has something to conceal. And although Rasheeda may attempt to play the victim in all of this, Scrappy has that he is prepared to reveal every single secret in her closet. In the wake of the slap, Rasheeda's reputation is in ruins. Her fans, who once admired her as a diligent businesswoman, have turned against her, questioning her moral character, her involvement in the family business, and her loyalty to Scrappy. However, is more than just a damaged reputation. It's about losing everything she has accumulated over the years. One of the most startling things to emerge from this situation is how Rasheeda's own relatives have turned against her. According to reports, a cousin who had been intimately involved with her in the company quit because she disagreed with her morals regarding her dubious activities. That's right. Rasheeda's own blood couldn't stand the poisonous environment she had fostered in private meetings. Family members are no longer communicating with her, according to reports, which is a setback for someone who built an empire on cooperation and family values. However, behind closed doors, there have also been talks about selling Frost. The mainstay of the company Rasheeda has fought to establish, Bistro, is tenacious and not in the market to sell. Instead, he wants total control. According to sources, he has been discreetly negotiating with investors to buy Rasheeda out of the company completely, leaving her penniless. As usual, social media greatly influences public opinion, and Scrappy's supporters have united behind him, saturating Twitter and Instagram with hashtags like #KindTeam and demanding that Rasheeda face the repercussions for her behavior. Many have noted that Rasheeda was the one who always pulled the strings behind the scenes, while Scrappy was the one who sought to preserve the peace and keep the family together. On the other hand, fans quickly point out that Scrappy was never the antagonist in this story. Rather, he was just a man who was driven to the edge by his wife's deceit. Rasheeda's devoted supporters have been vehemently supporting her, saying that Scrappy should have handled the situation and that his actions were inappropriate. Instead of spilling their secrets in public, they claim that Rasheeda had every right to defend her business interests and that the entire situation has been exaggerated by a scandal-hungry media. What's fascinating, though, is how this feud is unfolding in the public eye. Some fans are unsure of whom to believe, but one thing is certain: whether or not Rasheeda is guilty of financial misconduct, her reputation as a cunning manipulator is already cemented in the public consciousness. The media has been covering this whole situation relentlessly, and the footage of Rasheeda's alleged altercation with Scrappy has leaked online, sending shockwaves through the industry. In the video, Rasheeda is seen trying to shift blame and defend her actions while Scrappy refuses to back down. The footage has been criticized by both fans and critics, with some accusing Rasheeda of playing the victim and others claiming Scrappy was correct to defend himself. But isn't just a single incident. Rather, it's a growing trend of public opinion against Rasheeda. The more the media investigates the claims, the worse it appears for her. Investigative reports are now coming out that detail Rasheeda's alleged involvement in a number of dubious business practices, such as bribery, insider trading, and even possible connections to criminal organizations. Although none of these claims have been proven in court, the media is already consuming the story, and the public is consuming it. Let's continue from here. With legal action looming, a potential corporate takeover imminent, and supporters standing behind him no matter what, Scrappy has that he is not going to back down. Scrappy's next move will be a game changer. Will he be able to defeat Rasheeda and take over their joint enterprise? Or will Rasheeda make a last-minute return and hold on to power? Rest assured, the drama involving Scrappy and Rasheeda is far from done. And in the world of reality TV, we all know that the true narrative is just getting started. There are going to be more twists and turns, and you can be sure that we'll be here to cover everything. This whole mess between Scrappy and Rasheeda is just the tip of the iceberg. The secrets, lies, and betrayal are all about to come crashing down. What do you think? Is Scrappy right to stand up? Or is Rasheeda the victim of a vicious public attack? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think Scrappy can actually take over Rasheeda's empire, Or will she somehow triumph over this family feud? Don't forget to hit that like button. We know is just the beginning of one of the most outrageous celebrity showdowns we've seen in years. So if you believe that justice is finally coming for Scrappy, share this video with your friends and spread the word. If you want to see more breaking news, crazy exposes, and the drama you won't see anywhere else, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications. Trust us, we're just getting started. Stay tuned because the truth is out there, and we'll be here to expose it the next time. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Continue to be cautious, educate yourself, and keep an eye on the dramatic events.